And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Undercover. Now this game is from Frosted Games. Frosted Games is mostly known at this point in time for making promos to games, but this is an actual board game they made about being spies, and you're arranging meetings and trying to get information on different networks of spies. Now this is a very loose theme. It is placed on a game that's relying on placement of tiles and a good chunk of memory. Let me show you. We have a score track here, and you're going to have basically a grid. It's going to be starting with the colors, with 4 tiles, the colors of the players that are playing. So let's say it's blue, green, yellow, and red. Each player is going to get a wild tile, which will include the colors that aren't in the game. Now every agent color is in the game. You're going to make 2 stacks of agents. Each player is also going to have one of these. These are going to show the different agents they have. This is the blue player. So he has blue tokens, and you'll notice he has this one here because he hates orange, but orange will score double for him at the end of the game. Now on your turn, you need to pick up an agent. Okay, you're going to be sending an agent to a meeting. Now that agent has to come from the board somewhere. There isn't any agents. Or you can take one of the top ones here, or you can replay your wild. When you take an agent, you're not allowed to take the agent that's the color opposite you. So I'm playing blue, I'm fine. I can take this agent or this agent. So let's say I take this one. Now, when I take this agent, I can decide to flip it over or keep it the same. If I flip it over, it's going to be either orange or green. I'll flip it over. Oh, it's green. Now this green one must go next to a green, a yellow, or a blue. So I can place it here next to the green. And then the next player, maybe they pick the blue one, they don't flip it over, and they're just going to place it here next to the blue. The next person decides to flip this one. It's red, so you can go next to red, purple, and orange. So they can't place it here because they can't put it next to this blue, so they place it here. And then the next player decides to take this one and flip it over, and they decide they could leave it where it's at because you're allowed to do that when you flip it over. Now, after everyone has had one turn, then we can start scoring. So I take this tile and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to flip this tile because this tile fits nicely here. It's next to green and next to yellow. When that happens, a meeting is made. The first round of meetings don't score you any points. So I'm going to get 2 points in green, 1 for this one for this one, and 1 point in yellow. So I'll take my green token and move it 2 on the green. I'll take my yellow one and move it 1 on the yellow. And I'm trying to move them down these paths. If you flip a tile, so let's say I had flipped it. Wow, if I had flipped it, it still could have gone in that same spot because it was yellow. I would have scored double for this one, so I would have actually gotten 3 yellow and 1 green. And that's pretty much it. When you put down a wild one, you can put it wherever you want. You don't score the points for wild, but you would score here I would get 1 yellow and 1 red. But you only have 1 wild tile, so you have to know the best time to use it. You're not allowed to place the color that's the opposite of yours, but let's say that this one, is this orange on the other side? It is. Let's say I'm blue and I can't play orange, so I take this one and flip it. Oh, it's orange? Well, you know what? Now I can play it. And that's good because this token's a little thicker than the rest for me for orange because it's going to score points. After you're done moving your tiles, your figure, if it lands on a tile, you will remove your figure and take that tile, and you have a tile and you'll put it here face down on your board. When you have all 6 of those, the game's going to end, and everyone's going to add these, this one times 2, and whoever has the highest points is going to win. You can do the exact same thing with the other side of the board, but instead of using tiles, you're simply going to start with all your figures here at -10, and they're slowly going to get more and more points. And once everyone has crossed this black, when one players have all crossed the black line, the game will end. Either way, it plays out pretty much the same. There are 2 agents of each color, so there's 2 red agents, and one of them has a double orange agent on the back. Where's the other red agent? Here he is. So one of these agents is purple, and the other one is orange. See? You just don't know which is which. And you can even tell that just by looking at the color wheel. So there's going to be a purple agent, and one of them is going to be blue on one side and one's going to be red on the other side. And that's how you play. Try to get the most points. Now, incidentally, there's two different ways to score the game. I really like the way of with the board with the set point totals as opposed to those tiles, because those tiles are placed there randomly. So then you got to figure out a way, okay, I need the blue one to move 4 spaces in one turn to get the 8. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with a 4. I just felt like that was a little too, I don't know, I didn't like that as much. But they're both scoring methods are included. The other one seemed to be cleaner. You just want to move them as far as you possibly can. The game itself is really kind of interesting because you are trying to place these tiles down to score you the maximum amount of points on any certain time. And you then have to decide whether to flip it or not before you do it. You know 50% chance what's on the other side, and as the game progresses, you should know 100%, except if you're like me, you're going to forget all the time what colors are on the other side. It's really helpful if you can remember what color, especially, I don't memorize the colors, but I definitely memorize where my opposite color was. So if I was red and my opposite color is green, I would definitely memorize every green when it's face down, because if a green tile was face down, it meant I could use it and move it somewhere else. But that memory element is a pretty big part of this game. So if you hate memory, I think that you won't like the game. It's not all about memory, but memory is a good chunk. It's also about moving things. Interestingly enough, when you move a tile somewhere on the board, you're going to place this piece on it. So I could place this here when I move my tile. I didn't show that in the demo to save time, but when you place that, no one else can move that until your next turn. So it keeps you from moving tiles back and forth. However, other than that, you can move any tile you want, which means you can move a tile that's holding the board together. You can do it now. There's 2 split parts of the board. And that leaves a hole that hopefully you can then place something in and score a whole lot of points. And I find this fascinating. They even have rules in the thing like if you can't place a tile, but I haven't seen that happen yet. The game at the beginning, you get a couple more wild tiles for a 2-player game. I played a 2-player game in this, and it works pretty well back and forth, but I think I like it best with 4 players. The memory element is certainly strong as you're sitting there trying to remember what tiles go where. But if all else fails, you can still pick a tile and move it somewhere and know the points you're getting. The memory only matters if you're going to flip a tile and move it to another spot. Like I said, the theme is tenuous at best. It's just kind of a, you know, spy. I mean, I could have called this anything. Put animals together and they're friends with the different animals. But it works okay, and the artwork and all is nice and it looks good. I liked the game. I really did. I felt like it felt different from other games. This has felt like something unusual as I'm taking these tiles and flipping them back and forth. And that flipping back and forth, that part of the theme, the Undercover theme, I did like. But trying to get your color, especially that color if you're doubling, that was an interesting thing. It's essentially a race as you're racing the things down the path. And there is 2 styles of games. Some of you might find landing on the tiles to be more interesting because you have to then judge exactly how far your token moves at the end. Either way, the game moves at a reasonable clip. I could see some people sitting there and going, And you're like, look, you got like 6 different moves. Pick one of them. And then when I do pick the tile and if you flip it, you have to place it somewhere. And again, there's only so many places you can flip it because it can only go next to 3 colors. And there's usually a pretty obvious place to put it. Simple, decent artwork. The theme is kind of thin, but it doesn't hurt the game either. The tiles are nice and thick. So it's something different. And I'm always looking for something different. That's Undercover. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door. Yeah?